sunrise at f2.8. I'm being serious, sunrise at an aperture of f2.8. Now you must be thinking to yourself like, something happened to Charles? Like, did he fall over on these rocks when he was setting up? Grab the wrong aperture? No, I didn't. I have a reason to shoot at f2.8 this morning. Now I know most of the time when we're shooting landscapes, we're shooting between f8 and f11. We want depth of field, but what happens if you don't want depth of field? Sometimes you might be in a location just like here where you don't want your background to define an image. You just want a blur. And also with an ultra wide angle lens like the Tokina 11 to 20mm at f2.8, I'm going to get enough definition around the tree and the rocks in the foreground here, but my background there is going to be nice and blurred, and that's what I want. Remember, photography is all about what you want as a photographer. Don't let anybody dictate to you how you should take photos. I gave that up a long time ago. When I started in photography, I was listening to people and thinking like, after a while, hang on, I'm doing what they want me to do. Don't be like that. Do what you want to do. Try different apertures at sunrise, sunset, or during the daytime, and you will realize that there's certain times when you have to adjust your aperture. Now, if your lens doesn't go to f2.8 like this Tokina 11 to 20, then shoot at the lowest aperture possible, because that way you're going to limit your depth of field. I'm on the banks of the Pine River here at Brighton Park. Behind me there's a river, and on the other side of the river there's mangrove trees that line the riverbank. I want all that stuff in the background there blurred. All I want is my foreground here and this tree in front of me here. This is why I'm shooting at f2.8. So this morning I'm just using a polarizing filter. Why? There's not a breath of wind, and I'm going to get the image that I want without an ND filter. And also I'm not using a grad filter. If I was shooting towards the sun, maybe I'd use a grad filter, but here I've got the sun on my right shoulder here, and it's coming with me. The light is coming with me. Now sure, the foreground's going to be a little bit darker, but I can cope with that because in Lightroom, I can just adjust the foreground brightness just that little bit to balance out my image. So what are my settings? ISO 100. My white balance is at 5200. Daylight. Aperture, remember, f2.8. Now I'm just going to use my shutter speed to balance out my exposure. So I just keep cranking it down. Well, cranking it down, I'm cranking the shutter speed up to get my exposure balanced. But I mean, I'm reducing my exposure. So now, with my polarizer, I'm just going to turn it around until I get what I want. This looks really nice. I'm focused on the center tree here. I'll take the photo. So this image here looks really good. I really like it. But as you can see, the foreground is a bit dark. When I get home in Lightroom, I can just lift the foreground detail up a bit. I can do that using one of the masks. I can use the color range mask. I can use the radial filter mask. I can do that in Lightroom. Because if I use a grad filter here, I'm going to get a line. Because of the difference in light, I'm going to see that line across the mangroves. And then in post-processing, I'm not going to be able to get rid of it. So think about when to use filters and when not to use filters. Now we're just going to wait a couple of minutes for the sun to just peek over the horizon. Peeks over the horizon, we're going to get even better color on our mangrove tree here. And also the foreground is going to be much brighter. Now look at this. The sun has just come up. Look at that beautiful golden light. I'm still at f2.8. I'm at 1/125th of a second, and it's showing me I'm still overexposed. I've got to come down to 1/200th of a second. We focused on the tree trunk here. I'll take this photo here. Look at that beautiful golden light on the foreground here. Can you see why I said we really don't need a grad? Once the light hits that foreground here, everything is going to balance out. I just realized I'm getting very close to the bottom here, and I don't want to. As you can see, I'm right up against the mangrove trees here. I can't go any further back. This looks much better now. 1/200th of a second at f2.8. Wow, so nice. Now before I go, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn everything off, and I'm just going to move into the sun a little bit here on the side to get just one different composition, because like I always say, once you've got a good image, that's it. You move on and take another composition. This composition here looked about the best, but I'm just going to take one more just to my right here. So I've moved, as you can see in the video here. Check it out. It looks so nice. You know, sometimes you set things up and you think, yep, this is the best composition. Well, this morning, I feel I made a mistake. We all do them. We all make mistakes. Even the best photographers. You have something in your mind and go like, yep, okay, I'm going to do it this way. And then you look and you go like, oh, gee, This second composition looks better. And this one here definitely looks better. I don't know why I set myself up there. Well, I know why, because the other morning, that's where my best composition was, because there was clouds in the sky. So I went with that composition. But I'm admitting, I should have been here at the start. All is not lost because I'm here now and I can take a great photo at f2.8 with the sunrise, the lights coming behind us here. What is amazing is the sun's coming up behind this huge mangrove tree here. Half the mangrove tree here in front of us is shaded. The right hand side of the image is shaded and it's like we've got a line through our image. It's like split diagonals. Just looks beautiful. f2.8, 1/320th of a second, ISO 100, focused on the tree trunk. Beautiful. These images aren't edited. Remember, if you follow me on my channel here, all the photos that you see right now are just JPEGs. They're straight off the camera. There's no editing involved. And at the end of the video, I share the JPEG images and then the raw files edited in Adobe Lightroom. This looks great. And I think that this is where I'm going to end. No clouds in the sky. From now on, I'm just going to get harsher light. Know when to quit when you're ahead. That's what I found out. There's no use me staying here. Now here are my best images of the morning. The JPEG first and then the raw file edited in Adobe Lightroom. So as you can see, sometimes it is of benefit to you to choose a different aperture, even down to f2.8. If your lens doesn't go to f2.8, then choose the lowest aperture that you want, because you're going to find times where your background doesn't look nice. You could be in the city and you just want to photograph something right in front of you. You're like, but all these buildings in the background there, they're distracting. Well, reduce your aperture. It's going to be like a portrait image. You're going to be separating your subject to your background. And this is why I set my camera up at f2.8 this morning. I wanted to separate my background from my foreground here. I want to highlight the tree and have everything in the background blurred out. So thanks for watching. If you liked the video, give me a big thumbs up. Stay safe, enjoy photography, and I'll see you next time.